All right, everybody, welcome back. We are diving deep today, folks, into some fascinating research on wealth creation.
Yeah, this is some really compelling stuff.
It is, and we like to go beyond the surface level here and really get into the nitty-gritty.
Absolutely. Beyond those headlines, right?
Exactly. And we've got some thought-provoking insights to share with you today.
Yeah, some stuff that could really change your perspective.
Yeah, potentially life-changing stuff,
Oh.
folks. I mean, we're going to talk about that age-old question, building wealth.
Right, the path to financial freedom. Right.
Yeah, but we're looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear a lot about starting businesses and, investing in the stock market, but this research really challenges some of those conventional ideas.
It does. It really digs into what actually drives wealth, and it's not always what you think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, did you know that buying an existing business might be a smarter path to wealth than starting from scratch?
It's a really interesting argument. Yeah.
It is, and we're going to get into that and a whole lot more. And get this, we're going to talk about the biggest wealth transfer in history.
A mind-blowing $68 trillion.
$68 trillion.
Yeah.
Like, where is that money going, and how
Uh,
can you get a piece of it? So buckle up, folks, because this is going to be a wild ride.
It is. You're not going to want to miss this.
All right, so let's jump right in. We've all heard the stories, right? Gen Z is facing some tough economic realities.
Yeah, stagnant wages, rising costs.
It feels like an uphill battle for a lot of young people, right?
Yeah.
To kind of make ends meet, let alone build wealth.
Exactly. And this research really dives into why that is. It points to economic inequality as a major factor.
Yeah, the system, it feels rigged sometimes,
It, it can feel that way for sure.
So what's the solution? What's the way out of this mess?
Well, that's where things get interesting. The research really emphasizes the importance of ownership.
Ownership.
Yeah, specifically business ownership.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
So like becoming an entrepreneur.
Exactly. It turns out that over 80% of millionaires own businesses.
Wow, 80%. That's huge.
It is. It really highlights that owning a piece of the pie, having that control, that's where the real wealth is built.
But wait, hold on. There's a twist, right?
There is, and this is where the research gets really fascinating. It's not just about any business. It's about owning businesses in very specific niches.
Niches. Okay, tell me more about that.
So think about it this way. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, you become the go-to expert in a very specialized area.
Got it. So like instead of opening just a general store, you specialize in, say, organic pet food or something like that.
Exactly. Or maybe it's software development for a very specific type of business or, sustainable building materials.
So find a need and fill it.
Yeah.
Become the best at what you do in that niche.
Exactly. It's about focusing your expertise and becoming indispensable in that market.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about this $58 trillion elephant in the room.
Ah, yes, the great wealth transfer. This is where things get really exciting.
So break it down for us. What's happening here?
Basically, the baby boomer generation is starting to pass on their wealth to younger generations.
Right, they're retiring, downsizing, and, unfortunately some of them are, well, they're passing away.
Yeah, it's a natural part of life. But the sheer scale of this wealth transfer is unprecedented. We're talking about trillions of dollars in assets changing hands.
Trillions. That's mind-boggling.
It is. And a significant chunk of that wealth is tied up in businesses. All those successful companies built over decades are going to need new owners.
Wow, that's a huge opportunity for anyone who's ready to step up.
Exactly. It's like a gold rush, but instead of digging for gold, you're buying established, profitable businesses.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here. But starting a business from scratch is, well, it's terrifying, right?
It can be. There's so much risk, so much uncertainty. But that's where buying an existing business comes in.
So you're saying it's a safer bet?
In a way, yes. Because you're stepping into an already functioning system. You inherit a customer base, a brand, established processes, and hopefully a profitable track record.
So you bypass all that messy startup phase.
Exactly. And you increase your chances of success because you're not building from the ground up.
Okay, that does sound less scary. But wouldn't you also inherit any problems the business has?
That's a valid concern, and it's why due diligence is absolutely crucial.
Due diligence.
Yeah, you need to thoroughly vet any business you're considering buying, look at the financials, understand the market, talk to customers, and make sure you're not buying someone else's headache.
So it's like buying a used car. You got to kick the tires, check under the hood.
Exactly. You don't just hand over the cash without knowing what you're getting into.
All right, That makes sense. So we've got this massive wealth transfer, this opportunity to buy existing businesses. But isn't there more to it than that? I mean, don't you need a certain mindset to be successful in business?
You absolutely do. The research talks a lot about how successful entrepreneurs view fear differently.
Fear. I mean, starting a business or even buying one, that's got to be scary.
Of course. But successful entrepreneurs, they acknowledge that fear, but they don't let it paralyze them.
So they're not fearless, they just manage it better.
Exactly. They learn to distinguish between rational fear, which helps them make smart decisions, and irrational fear, which holds them back.
So like a rational fear would be, making sure you have enough cash flow to cover your expenses.
Exactly. Or making sure you've done your research on the market before you launch a new product.
And irrational fear would be, I don't know, like being afraid to talk to potential customers because you're worried about rejection.
Exactly. Or being afraid to take a calculated risk because you're worried about failing.
Right. So it's about understanding your fears, but not letting them control you.
Precisely. It's about taking that leap of faith, even when it feels scary.
Now, let's be real. Taking that leap of faith, it can be a lot easier if you have a solid understanding of, the financial side of things.
Absolutely. The research emphasizes how critical financial literacy is.
Financial literacy, yeah. I mean, you got to know how to read a balance sheet, right?
Exactly. You need to understand basic financial concepts like revenue, expenses, profit margins, cash flow.
Right. And how to manage debt and, make smart investments.
It's all connected. For example, have you ever heard of revenue sharing deals?
Revenue sharing deals.
Yeah, it's where you agree to split the profits from a business venture with someone else based on a certain percentage.
Oh, okay. Like if you partner with someone on that niche business you're buying.
Exactly. Or if you collaborate with an influencer to promote your product.
So you need to understand how to structure those deals to make sure they're fair and beneficial for everyone involved.
Precisely. Financial literacy gives you the tools to make informed decisions and protect your interests.
All right. So we've talked about individual action, buying a business, mastering your mindset, getting financially savvy. But what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
The forces that shape the whole economic landscape.
Ah, yes. The research touches on some really important points about that, like the role of asset management firms, for instance.
Asset management firms like what, BlackRock and those guys?
Exactly. These companies control trillions of dollars in investments. Their decisions can move markets, influence industries, and impact the global economy.
Wow. So they have a lot of power.
They do. And it's important to understand how their actions can affect your investments and financial decisions.
It's like, they're playing chess on a global scale, and we're just trying to figure out how to move our pawns.
That's a great analogy. And then there's inflation, of course.
Right, that old chestnut. Prices going up, our money buying less.
Exactly. It's a constant threat to wealth creation because it erodes the value of your savings and investments.
So we need to be aware of inflation and factor it into our financial planning.
Absolutely. And the research challenges us to think about how we can protect our wealth from inflation.
Okay, so we've got these big players, these economic forces at play. But the research also hints at something else, right? Like a need to think outside the box. Maybe even question some of the conventional wisdom about wealth creation.
It does. It questions whether traditional systems like banking are always the best route.
Oh, interesting. You mean like maybe we shouldn't just blindly trust the banks with our money?
Well, it encourages us to explore alternative paths to be more in control of our financial destinies.
So what are some of those alternative paths?
There are a lot of interesting options out there, like crowdfunding platforms, for example.
Crowdfunding, like Kickstarter and those kinds of things.
Yeah, but also platforms that allow you to invest in startups or real estate projects.
Oh, so it's like pooling your money with other people to invest in things you believe in.
Exactly. And then there's peer-to-peer lending.
Peer-to-peer lending, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's where you can lend money directly to individuals or businesses, bypassing traditional banks.
And potentially get a higher return on your investment.
That's the idea. Of course, there are risks involved with any investment, and you need to do your research carefully.
Right, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Exactly. But the point is that there are alternative ways to build wealth, ways that might give you more control and align better with your values.
Okay, so we need to think outside the bank. Now, let's talk about something that's close to a lot of people's hearts. Real estate.
Ah, yes, the classic American dream, right?
Owning a home, building equity, passing it down to the next generation.
But the research presents a more nuanced perspective on real estate.
Nuanced, meaning it's not always a guaranteed path to riches.
Exactly. While real estate can certainly be a valuable asset, it's important to be aware of the risks.
Risks. Like what?
Well, for one thing, high mortgage payments can be a real burden, especially if interest rates rise.
Right, and then there's property taxes, maintenance costs, and the risk that the market could take a downturn.
Exactly. It's not as simple as just buying a house and watching your money grow.
So what's the takeaway here? Is real estate a good investment or not?
The answer, as with most things in life, is it depends. It depends on your individual circumstances, your financial goals, and the specific market you're in.
Right, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Exactly. You need to weigh the pros and cons carefully and make a decision that's right for you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the importance of ownership, finding your niche, navigating the wealth transfer, mastering your mindset, getting financially literate, and even thinking outside the bank.
It's a lot to digest, but it's all incredibly important.
It is. And, at the end of the day, it all comes back to taking control of your financial future, right?
Absolutely. It's about empowering yourself to make informed decisions and create the life you want.
So if ownership is the key to wealth, what one step can you take today to start building your own ownership portfolio? It could be researching niche businesses, exploring alternative investment platforms, or even just taking a financial literacy course. The possibilities are endless.
They are. The future of wealth creation is in your hands. What will you do with it?